So there is a border predicament that has been occurring between Poland, Lithuania, and Belarus. The Belarusian government of Alexander Lukashenko has been sending in migrants to cross the borders into Poland and Lithuania. The Poles are obviously very exasperated by this, and it has come to the point where the Polish government just declared a state of emergency. Now, I spent some time today reading through some Polish media articles just to get some sort of a grasp as to what people in Poland think about this situation and just to get some sort of a perspective. And I have read a suggestion that has been presented within Polish media, and that is that perhaps the reason as to why Lukashenko and his regime have been doing this is to try to get Polish border security to be provoked to do something violent against Belarusian border security. Because there are reports coming out of Poland that Belarusian border security will actually push migrants to cross the border into Poland. And Polish border security sees what's going on, and they will prevent these migrants from entering Poland. And there is a humanitarian crisis that's taking place right in between Poland and Belarus. You have a little bit over 30 migrants. I believe they are from Afghanistan, and they are right stuck in between Polish border security and Belarusian border security, Belarusian officers. And the Belarusians don't allow them to go back to Belarus, and the Poles don't want them. But the Belarusian border security, from the reports that I have read, will actually push migrants to cross the border into Poland. And the Poles are rightfully angered by this. And so the suggestion that I have read is that perhaps what Belarus wants is for Poland to be provoked, for Polish security officers to be provoked to do something violent against Belarusian officers, so as to allow Belarus to point the finger at Poland, to make it out that to make it look like Poland is an enemy, and to give Russia, because Belarus is a puppet state for Russia, to give Russia the justification to amplify its military collaboration with Belarus, which ultimately would be done to intimidate Poland. And this is a suggestion that I have read. But the main opinion that is coming out of Poland is that the reason as to why Lukashenko and his regime are doing this is to destabilize the political status quo in Poland. Because if an influx of migrants enter Poland, it would provoke the Polish people to be enraged against their government. Because remember, during the 2015 migrant crisis, Poland was one of the countries that resisted the idea of accepting a wave of migrants from the Islamic world. And so this is a popular position in Poland, and it would be detrimental to the Polish government to renege on that position and to reverse and rescind that position. And so if the Polish government is unable to prevent migrants from entering Poland, and migrants, for that matter, who are reportedly being pushed into Poland by Belarus as a political weapon, if Poland cannot prevent these migrants from entering, it would absolutely just piss off so many Polish people against the government, and it would destabilize the status quo. And so this is the motive of Belarus's policy of pushing these migrants into Poland and Lithuania. Now, what is this really a sign of? What it's a sign of is that nations are becoming more and more exasperated towards each other. Nations are becoming more and more hostile. And we're beginning to see it. We're seeing it in the East. We're seeing this in East Asia, between Japan and China. We're seeing this between Russia and Japan. We're seeing this between Turkey and Greece, Turkey and Armenia. And we're seeing this between Poland and Belarus. And ultimately, this is between Poland and Russia, because Belarus is a puppet state for Russia. And remember, the Soviet Union, at one point in time, controlled half of Poland during the Second World War. And so there is a history of hatred and a history of persecution when it comes to Poland and Russia. The Russians, the Soviets to be specific, butchered hundreds of thousands of Poles. And this is something that the Polish people have and should never forget. And so this rivalry, this tension between these countries are intensifying. And I'll just leave it like that. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.